Hello and welcome to the Neo News Today podcast. I'm your host, Dylan of Neo News Today. In episode 61 of the NNT pod, I sat down and spoke with Michael Fabozzi, the founder of Rentfuse. Rentfuse is an NFT renting protocol that was developed in the recent Neo Frontier Launchpad hackathon, where it won the best NFT project. In this episode, Michael and I talked about hackathons in different blockchain ecosystems, Neo's developer experience, unique opportunities that renting NFTs can offer, potential use cases, how to make Rentfuse easier for other developers to use and integrate into their dApps, and next steps. So I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation with Michael as much as I enjoyed having it. How you doing today, Michael?
Hi, Dylan. Everything's fine. And you?
I'm doing great. I was looking forward to catching up with you again. We got to chat after the hackathon that Rentfuse was a winning project for. And it was a great conversation between you, me, and Edge to help write the introduction article for what Rentfuse is. So I've been looking forward to catching up with you.
Me too.
Sweet. So let's just jump into this and do a little quick background for the Neo News Today community and the Neo community who don't know who you are. Could you just tell us a little bit about your professional background?
So I'm Michael Fabozzi. I'm a software engineer. I'm working in the field since 5 years at the moment. I've started with some Android application. I had 5 years ago, I built an alarm clock application for Android that was called Snap Me Up, where you had to wake up doing a selfie. It was kind of a fantastic project because it was difficult for me to waking up for going to the university, and so it was a big project. I published it on the Google Play Store, and it was a kind of a 200,000 downloads. It was totally an awesome project. From that project and on, I continued it to develop, and I started working in a robotic company. That is where I work today.
Was that Android application you made, was that kind of your first side hustle? Were you expecting it to kind of take off like that? Did it plant a seed to make you want to build more side projects?
Well, I started coding in secondary school. So when I was 16 years old, I started with low-level projects for maybe some of my professors, some website and so on. Then I moved to a bigger project that was kind of social about creativity. And then I moved on with Android application because it was the time, and I was thrilled to work with Android. And so I just create something on it.
And do you have any other blockchain experience building on Neo Legacy or building on other blockchains?
I didn't have experience on Neo Legacy, but I've participated to the Solana hackathon that was kind of 8 months ago. And with a to-do list centralized application, basic application built on Solana. Then I participated to another hackathon for Chainlink. That was where I tried to experiment with the blockchain, with Ethereum, and the development of auto-generated artworks on chain. And then I moved to Neo, to the hackathon.
What was your experience like with the other two hackathons? It's really cool that you participated in Solana's hackathon, which was making a big splash, and to work on Chainlink, a random number generator, using random number generators for images. That's really cool too. So what was the experience between the Neo hackathon like and those other two hackathons?
From what I can say, that because that they were really close to each other. So I think I have a good overview on how they went. I think that from a developer perspective, Neo was the hackathon for Neo, and the Neo blockchain was the most funny for me. It was the most interesting because for a developer perspective, it's really cool to build on Neo. You have a lot of tools. You have a lot of documentation. You can build with whatever language you prefer. So really, any kind of developer from any kind of background, a back-end developer, a front-end developer, whatever, anyone can build on Neo. So in my opinion, this is the most important thing, and also the documentation, because in my opinion, for the hackathon for Neo, the documentation was really good. There were really good tutorials. The documentation was really well done, and so I kind of jumped on it, and it was a good experience, a good developer experience. I just had to choose what language to develop with, but really, you can do whatever you prefer. So I hope that in the same way, this will attract more and more and more developers, because really is you have all the tools to do it.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. I've said this a bunch that the past couple years, the developers in the Neo community have really focused on making Neo a developer friendly blockchain. So just to hear folks like you and other hackathon participants and just other people who are starting to build highlight how great the tools are, it's really cool to hear this, because for the past 2.5 years, we've been talking about the developer community making great tools. So it's awesome to hear that they're being delivered now. And for the other two hackathon projects, are you going to move forward with them? Or are you going to keep on building on Solana and Chainlink? Or are you mostly going to primarily focus on Rentfuse moving forward?
No, at the moment, I'm completely focused on building Rentfuse and bring it to life and make it a big project and a standard NFT protocol solution for the new blockchain. So is the project where I'm completely working on.
And maybe just to help get this out into the atmosphere, can you just describe what Rentfuse is for the Neo News Today listeners?
Basically, Rentfuse is an NFT application protocol for renting NFTs. Basically, if you are the owner of some NFT, you can rent them, you can lend them. So in this way, you can earn money. And if you are a borrower, so if you want some NFTs to use it temporarily, you can just rent it with Rentfuse protocol. So it is a protocol that enables what, in my opinion, is the sharing economy. So the fact that we sometimes need something only for a certain period of time, or maybe we don't want them for each time. Like an example would be in gaming. You need a powerful weapon to defeat a monster for a limited amount of time, because that weapon is really powerful, is really expensive. So maybe you just take it, you just rent it through Rentfuse, you have the weapon, you kill the monster, you level up, and you can give back the weapon. So there are a lot of use cases, mainly in the gaming industries, but these can open up to everything, also for real life use cases.
Yeah, I want to talk about real life use cases in a moment, but just to give a little bit of gravity to the gaming use case you're talking about, and some of these MMORPGs, some of these in-game items like a sword or a big ticket item to defeat a monster, sometimes these are really rare and can be very expensive. What are some of the costs for some of these rare items that users might want to buy for a specific purpose in a game?
They can go also for more than thousands of dollars. Really, some items are really expensive. Also, some skins are really expensive, but not also item like world of skin. But maybe in some games you need some materials, and so you need maybe to buy them in order, or maybe you need some other things that for example, some tokens that can be used for a limited amount of time to get some premium access to some feature. So with Rentfuse, you can rent them and use them and then give them back. So I think that for the gaming industry, this could be really awesome and could give a lot of new opportunity for the players.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really cool proposal that you put forward. And just to get this to clear the air, is Rentfuse a platform or is it a protocol?
Rentfuse mainly enables the NFT renting, but it also provides a way to do that. So also provide a platform to do that. Because with Rentfuse has a protocol behind it that mainly is used to handle the management of rents. And after that, we have the possibility to add the rent purposes inside decentralized application, and so rent inside other decentralized applications. But with the Rentfuse platform, you can also rent directly from the platform. It's like you have a dashboard with all the possible rent, all the listings that are out, all the status of your rent. So you have a point where you can see all the status of the rent of your account.
Will like a normal user like me, somebody who doesn't know how to code or develop, be able to use the platform? But then if there's a dApp or a developer in the ecosystem, will they be able to use the protocol on their own platform?
Yeah, totally. In fact, one of the main points for the development of Neo, of Rentfuse, would be to create a really good documentation, really easy documentation for what we call integrators that want to integrate the Rentfuse protocol in their decentralized application. So we want to be, let's say, developer friendly also in this case, because we want that Rentfuse is spread among all the possible NFT projects around on Neo.
And documentation can be kind of a hurdle. It can be something that holds a lot of developers back. It's also a time-consuming process for you. So have you created a good way to maintain documentation? Are there any issues or hurdles you're running into with that?
What I'm doing is that while we are creating our code, we are using C#. We are adding a lot of XML comments. So in this way, we can automatically generate some good documentation for the contract. And due to the fact that smart contract developers will use some of the functions that are inside the contract, at the moment, we directly have some really low-level way to interact with the contract. But the idea is then to create some, let's say, some bundles, or maybe also some repository, some packages to enable to make it easier to use Rentfuse and to integrate it. Because at the end, it needs to be used.
Yeah. And the last time we spoke, you were highlighting the fact that you want to collaborate with other NFT projects in the ecosystem. So I'm sure this documentation would help with that. What are some ways that you have seen, the hackathon concluded in July. So you've had your first post hackathon month with the project. I'm sure you've been very busy just working on the protocol and the platform itself. But what have sort of opportunities for collaborating with other NFT projects in the ecosystem looked like so far?
I think that on Neo, there are a lot of new NFT projects that are building on the platform, like, for example, To The Moon or Ghost Markets, Uniswap. So a lot of new projects that could really benefit from using Rentfuse, from integrating Rentfuse, can enable a part of the in-game or the in-app, let's say, economy that really could foster also the community behind the project and how the user interact with them. So in the future, I'm totally planning to collaborate with them in order to integrate Rentfuse and to build the best possible protocol that could also help them to build something together great.
So keep your ears open for Rentfuse, To The Moon, and Ghost Market. You were inspired by games, but there's this whole other world of opportunities that NFTs can offer. Right now, a lot of people are using them for selling like JPEGs, like CryptoPunks and things of this nature. So right now, the main use case is sort of like intrinsic and artistic, but NFTs can also represent ownership and they can also have real world value. So you have discussed in the past other opportunities that Rentfuse can be used for. You used an example of housing, for example. So can you just share a little bit about what your insights are into what else NFTs can be used for, and maybe how Rentfuse can be a part of that process?
Yes, because obviously Rentfuse enables NFT renting, but NFT renting in the future, integration with real life object could be really a big thing. An example would be an apartment. So an apartment could have a lock that is connected to the blockchain. And in this way, there could be an interaction with Rentfuse that manages the rent of the apartment. And in that way, the owner could rent an apartment that is just, at the end, an NFT, could rent an apartment, and Rentfuse could directly manage the rent for the owner. For example, the locker could open only if the borrower paid the rent, for example. So it can enable really a lot of real life use cases with all the possible things that you can imagine. At the end, renting is present in all of our life. this is an example because it was something that I wanted to develop. It was something with Arduino and so on. I wanted to create something, and this was the first idea that I had. But with the Internet of Things, there are an infinite number of things that could directly connect to the blockchain, speak with it, and be managed through smart contracts.
Yeah, this could be a really cool potential project that brings IoT, the Internet of Things, to the Neo blockchain, or at least opens the blockchain up to that world. I do want to just ask your opinion on the general state of NFTs. We're in kind of a crazy time right now where hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent on NFTs each month, and a lot of people are buying all sorts of different themes and series of NFTs. So, what's just your general perspective or outlook on NFTs and blockchain today?
The NFT market has grown really a lot in the past 2 years, mainly on the art sector. So we have a lot of NFTs related to the art sector that are really selling with big values. So, for example, a portrait that is $69 million is a crazy thing for an NFT, but a lot of new ways to interact with NFTs are being building. Like, for example, we can think about Axie Infinity. It's a dApp on Ethereum, and it's going crazy because it's like a Pokemon game. So it's something really, really funny to play. And for example, at the beginning of Axie Infinity, you need to have 3 monsters. What is happening at the moment is that you can do 3 things. You can do 2 things. You can buy these monsters, for example, and you can play, or you have to rent them. But at the moment, there is no possibility to rent them because there is no contract that automatically handle it. So this is another thing that make me think about how big is the potential of Rentfuse also for this kind of implication. And so, in my opinion, the NFT market is really growing. It started with the art sector, but really is becoming also really, really big on the gaming side. Maybe for the physical part, we have to wait some time. Maybe we have to be real. We have to wait some time on that part, wait for a major adoption, major project that will be built on this part. But in my opinion, this is something that would change the way we live our life totally.
In my perspective, the current NFT boom is similar to the ICO boom in 2017 and the DeFi boom we had last summer. This is kind of the first time that a lot of people are able to connect with something unique in the blockchain space. So, like, you had very technical people who had to learn how to use basic wallet functionality in 2017 and 2020 for the ICO tokens and for DeFi tokens. But NFTs now are being able to attract people who can understand art but don't understand blockchain. So I agree with what you're saying. We still haven't gotten to that point where these folks can put the deed to their car or the title to their house on blockchain yet and agree that it's safe and that they understand how it works. So we still haven't crossed that threshold of the physical representation of things online via NFTs. But beyond sort of blockchain based games like Axie Infinity, and beyond your thought process for how NFTs can be rented in games, are there other ways that you think NFTs are going to revolutionize gaming? I mean, we did speak about items and skins, but are there other trends or themes that you've seen while you're building Rentfuse?
Another thing could be to rent in some games. Maybe you can collect things like I only think about something similar to Axie Infinity because it is one of the major trends at the moment in the gaming industry of NFTs. But you can also, in that case, you can rent some monsters in order to win more fights and earn more points. So in the gaming industry, at the end, there are a lot of items that players get during their gaming experience. And so a lot of time these items give you power and etc. So in my opinion, by renting also these items, you can get a lot of things. So this really can open up a lot of possibility for the gaming industry.
Yeah, it's almost like you can yield farm other in-game items by renting characters. So it's almost like NFT farming.
Yeah.
Cool. So what has the reception from the Neo community been like since you won the hackathon? I mean, I know that you've also been heads down working your full-time job and doing this on the side, but have you received positive feedback from the Neo community?
Yeah, at the moment, I can see that Rentfuse was mentioned a lot on Reddit, for example. I follow Reddit a lot. And what we are doing now is really build a brand behind Rentfuse in a way to let more people know about it. We want to give really the user, both users and integrators, so other decentralized application developers, to know what is Rentfuse and the benefit that it could bring. What we are building is a brand behind Rentfuse, and we go directly on the socials in the next month.
Looking forward to following Rentfuse on Twitter and Medium. And if you ever have any news updates or outreach or anything like that, of course, you can hit Neo News Today up, and we're happy to collaborate with you to help share any upcoming events, updates, anything that you have.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for, to help. So, speaking of looking forward, I know this is kind of a hard question to answer, and I often feel like it's unfair for me to ask, but I know that the Neo community wants to hear. Do you have an anticipated launch date, or is there a certain time when Neo users can expect to see the first smart contract for Rentfuse or expect to use it?
At the moment, we are thinking about the first quarter of the next year. So we have a really strict roadmap about the project. The team is increasing, and we know what we want to do with Rentfuse, and so we are head down and working really, really hard on it.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, you said that you were a one-man team, but you had a few friends who were interested in joining. So have these friends joined the team, or who else has joined the Rentfuse team? And do you know them, or did you meet them through the hackathon or the ecosystem?
Yeah, last time I was a solo developer of Rentfuse. Now the team grows, and we are 3 people. We have another developer and another person dedicated to the branding and the social part. But at the moment, we are planning to add another developer to the team, so that we are 3 developers. And there is also another person that will be involved in this process. So we are expanding because there are a lot of things to do, and we want to do it in a fantastic way.
Awesome. Definitely looking forward to seeing some fantastic outputs and outcomes from the Rentfuse team. So wrapping up, I kind of want to end our conversation on a broad perspective. We're seeing a lot of things happening right now with Neo. We just recently migrated from Legacy to N3. There are incentive programs for people to move their Neo from Legacy to N3 and to also vote. There's a lot of new features on the new Neo. You're working on NFTs. So there's a lot going on. So from a big, broad perspective, what are some sort of initiatives or some areas that you're looking forward to or you would like to see take place in the new Neo ecosystem?
This is a really nice question. No, well, I mean, in my opinion, at the moment, what Neo need is a way to attract more developers. In my opinion, we need to enhance developers. We need to let other developers and other people know how easy it is to build on Neo and how big thing you can achieve with the tool that you already have. In my opinion, this is the most critical point. We need to let other developers know that they can approach the blockchain in a simple way, but in a very powerful way. You have everything you need on Neo. So in my opinion, you can create really, really big project. The first starting point would be really a call on action on developers. Maybe another hackathon. Maybe another hackathon would be a good way to foster the new project being built on Neo. But also another thing that, congratulations for the council. Another thing that I might say that, like, for example, your initiative, your grant for new developers, in my opinion, these really go to the good direction. We just need to have more application on Neo.
I appreciate that. Thanks. We're doing the grants because we want to just help highlight how great development tools can be in Neo. So I think that's a really cool thread that you're pulling on that we can finish with because, again, like Neo's been developed over the past 2.5 years to be the most developer friendly platform. So it's awesome to hear you say this. And I agree. I mean, developer outreach is always something that I think is utmost important. And I think a lot of other people in the ecosystem feel that way as well. I think it would be awesome to even see a hackathon done on like a quarterly basis because we got some really cool projects that came out of this event. And something that kind of blew me away or kind of surprised me was a lot of people said that they've been following Neo since AntShares, which was the rebrand was in summer 2017. So 4 years later, a lot of developers finally felt like this blockchain and its tools were good enough for them to build something that they want to build. And we got to see a lot of great projects come out of the hackathon because of that. So I think that's a really cool sort of topic to end on, especially because we're going to see in the coming months in Q1 next year some really great things coming out of Rentfuse.
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to continuing to cover the project and to continuing to see the progress that you and your new team make.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dylan.
I definitely look forward to having you join another Neo News Today podcast. And until then, happy coding.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan.
Sweet. Have a good day. Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, what did you think of that conversation? It was really cool to hear developers' firsthand experience about hackathons and other blockchain ecosystems, and how Michael found Neo to be a much more friendly developer experience. It also sounds like NFT renting smart contracts are a bit under the radar across the broader blockchain industry. So it is exciting to have someone pioneering this functionality on the Neo blockchain. It was great hearing how the team will use documentation to help make Rentfuse a more usable protocol standard for other NFT-based dApps in the Neo ecosystem. To keep up to date with the latest in the Neo ecosystem, visit www.neonewstoday.com. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify. And leave a 5-star review if you feel that others should hear our content. Every subscription and review helps others learn more about the Neo News Today podcast and the Neo ecosystem. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the Neo News Today podcast, and we look forward to catching you next time.